Thank you so much for coming along the journey with us. As I said, yeah, today's the last one, the forecaster. So all things, what's sitting in your pipeline and what revenue you're due to expect from those applications and those roles that you're working on. So the agenda for today is, initially that forecast. So what's best case versus most likely? As you know, there's a lot of AI built into the Vincere analytics. So, how can we take those smart analytic those algorithms and show you what is due and sat in your forecaster? We're also going to go into 2 additional reports in the forecaster dashboard, which you may not be too familiar with. The first one being our job health check. So that's tracking stalled versus active jobs, what that means and how you can use that information. And then also our active pipeline. So what does, rotting jobs look like? We call it momentum, positive and stalled in there as well. So, taking a high level overview of those 2 additional reports, which you may not be too familiar with. Lynn is going to be manning the chat. So any questions that you have, put them in there and we'll answer them along the way. And anything that we can't answer will be coming through with the recording anyway, as well as, tips and tricks, cheat sheets, and what you should be doing straight away to make the most out of the forecaster. So I think we get started, Chris.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I think everyone's here. We've got quite a few people on the call, so let's kick off. I think the first thing we want to do is just see the lay of the land, really. Who is using the forecast already? Lynn's going to pop a poll up on your screens. If you could just let us know, if you are using the forecaster, if you're not, if you are forecasting outside of Vincere, or if you've got no idea what forecasting is and you're here to understand that a little bit better and make the use of the Vincere forecasting dashboard. Cool, we'll let that go off in the background and we'll jump right in. I think Chris is going to take us through to the first dashboard. So let me jump into that. You can all see my screen. I haven't just been talking.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for that, Amy. Once we get there.
Here we go. A few technical issues.
Cool.
18 months in, you think I'd get used to blimmin' Zoom and switching screens? Not yet. There's still time. Still time.
You'll get it, mate. Welcome to the best case tab on the forecaster, right? So the best case tab actually just shows you. So if you, Amy, if you can just scroll across the top bar there, you'll be able to see your best case billing scenario. Now, this is a total of all the jobs that you have in your system, right? So all the figures that are in your system with at least 1 head count, that's the total best case billing scenario that you guys will be able to bill on. If you move across, Amy, you'll be able to see where we use AI. So we use AI in our system. That is the closing rate amongst all the consultants within the business. So it's about 28% in this specific demo. So you can basically say you're most likely going to bill 3.9 million or 3.979.726.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's not bad numbers.
In your forecast, right? So the most likely figure is calculated by the best case figure multiplied by the percentage of the jobs placed. The percentage, and then the percentage of the jobs placed is based on your last 12 months placement data. Okay, so if you scroll along the, you can see there, you can see how many active jobs you have, how many active candidates you have, and how many active applications you have as well. You've also got the filters tab, much like every other tab in the intelligence piece. You can filter down by brand, team, division, consultant, job category, but you can also go down to most likely by. So if you go down to most likely by, you can set it by the percentage chance of the placement. And to do this, you can use the filter most likely on the right-hand side and select the percentage of chance, right? So you can either do it using AI or you can use it through your forecasting by manual as well.
Yeah, so absolutely. So the difference between the 2 is this 28% is using your business's closure rate. So how many jobs are you putting on the system compared to how many are you closing? And then it takes that percentage and looks at your full forecast. So if you were to close everything, that's this number. But historically, we're at a 28% closure rate. So it's going to pull this through. So, that's an algorithm that's whirring along in the background. It's going to update when you have good months, when you have bad months, and you can filter it down by consultants, by teams. You can also do it by industry as well. So if you're using the industry tags in Vincere, I would highly recommend taking a look at how your forecast looks across those different industries, and you can see, which ones you've got a great closure rate and maybe which ones there's a bit of opportunity there.
Yeah.
But we do know that, recruiters, we're salespeople, we're optimists at the best of times. So we've got our manual set in job, which is most likely by. So you can manually tell the system what your percentage is of what you think you're going to close that particular role. And as I said, we're optimists. So we always see that this number is slightly higher than this number here. So if you do want to do manual forecasting, you absolutely can. And where that sits in the job itself is if I go into a role into the front office of Vincere. So I'm using this project manager role here. On the details tab, right at the bottom, you've got this forecasting. So this is where you can override that percentage, 0 to 100, what you think that percentage of closure rate is going to be. Again, we can automate it a little bit if you wanted to. So I can see this forecast fee by. Now, if I wanted to do it manually and just, put in a value here of what I reckon I'm going to bill based on this role. So those could be your fixed fee roles. They could be, a percentage role if you wanted it as well. If it's going to be the active applications, which is auto, what this is doing is actually pulling through the revenue that you've associated in the compensation and fees tab. Okay, so whether it's a contract role, temp role, or perm role, or even retained, anything that sits in this comp and fees tab here is being pulled through into this little headline news at the top here, and you can decide that by this forecasting tab. Okay. If you're using the active applications, it might be a temp role or a contract role with multi headcounts, and you're going to fill, 2, 3, or 4 people in that one role. The active applications are going to take through the algorithm for how many people you've got associated to that role, that applications are still active for it, and then it will do a calculation for you as well. So there's a lot of, flexibility on how you want to forecast. I say the AI is the most accurate because it's based on historical data. So take a look at that. But we do know that businesses want to have their consultants, pledge what they're going to bill for a certain time period. So you've got the opportunity to do that as well. Sorry, Chris, jumped you in, went off on a tangent.
Oh, of course. No, that's perfect, right? That's why we work so well together, Amy. And I've actually accidentally stuck my hand up as well. Let me lower my hand.
No, do you have a question?
Have any questions? No, I don't. I just wanted to add in, I've just had a look at the results and the polls, and like a large number of people are using the Excel spreadsheets, right? So this is the perfect opportunity to wipe that out of your forecasting, right? Let Vincere do the forecasting for you. Obviously, you need to input the data, you can play around with the filters and whatnot, but let us do the hard work for you so your forecasting can come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I had to say. Just want to add a little spiel in.
And another important filter in this dashboard as well is by job type. So if you, job category. So if you are utilizing the Vincere job leads as well as jobs, you can actually run a filter on the forecast that is sitting in those job leads. So if you don't have the actual job order yet, but you're still, doing business development in the background, you're still, out on that BD hunt and putting leads into the system, you can still track a revenue for forecast against that as well by updating here the link to the job leads. So that's again another little hidden gem inside the system, so you can see by which consultants working those leads to bring in new business before you actually get the job order, and track it all from the one location here. Okay, so we've had quite a few questions come through. I can see Lynn's typing away, smoke coming off of her fingers, but let's move on to the next dashboard here, the active pipeline. And one thing actually just before I do move on is you've got the tabs down here, so you can actually have a look at your forecast over a certain time period. We've got custom as well if you're so inclined, but over the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you can see how your forecast is going to update there. Okay, so then we go into our active pipeline. Now, what we're looking at here, again, you've got access to all of those filters. So you can filter down by team, division, consultant, industry, all of that good stuff sits in here. But what we're actually showing you is a dashboard of your best case, so your revenue, qualifying over the amount of days that job has been open. And you can filter this down by applications at a certain stage. So if I want to have a look at every single application I'm working on that is at second interview, I can actually see that from inside the system. So it's a great tool to actually sit down with your consultants or your teams and say, okay, what do we need to do to get this job over the line? It's worth this much, it's been open for this long. What do we need to do here? Okay, and again, it's all interactive, just toggling on, toggling off as you need to. And each of these bubbles represents that job. So I can just hover over it and say, okay, Paul, you've got this job, which is at second interview. There's potentially 9 grand sitting there, and it's been open for 17 days. And based on your closure rate, there's 11% chance that we're going to close it. Okay, let's push and see what we can do. Okay, so it's a really great tool to understand each of your individual teams or consultants' pipelines by stage within this dashboard here. Now, what we also give you from this point is the average aging of jobs within certain stages. So you can see that, we're averaging 48 days as a application at shortlisted stage, and then it's 50 days, from sent stage. So there's a lot of time going on between moving your applications through the pipeline. So is this something that we can keep an eye on and make sure that we're keeping that momentum going, which is going to go through into the job health check in a second. Of course, not only are we looking at jobs here, but we're also looking at candidates, and you can look at the specific applications. And this is what a lot of other systems miss out on, or it's a metric that you don't think to cover. That's really important. So look at these applications again, toggle off what you don't want to see, just have a look at all of those second interview applications, hover over, and ideally we want the bubble to be up here and over here somewhere. So it's not been open very long, but it's worth lots of money. That's the dream. That's where we want. That's what we want to see. And again, all the information sits down the bottom here. So we like to give you the nice graphic so you can see it on a visual basis, but then the list views at the bottom. Everyone knows what Excel is supposed to look like. It's very familiar for everybody. So what's that candidate's name? What role is it for? Who's looking after it in your business? And then the status and best case and most likely of that role. But importantly, aging. So how long has that job been on your system for? Okay. And again, hover over as you need to. These are all hyperlinks, so you can jump into the job from here, take action if you need to, and really keep that momentum moving for that particular role. Okay. Cool. Anything to add in, Chris? You move on to the job health check. Any questions coming through? I don't know. Let me just take a look at the questions that are coming through.
While they're coming through, Amy, I'll just get you to toggle on the job health check tab for us. Yeah. Awesome.
Perfect. Let's jump into here. I'm sure Lynn's got the questions.
Yeah,
covered.
She's looking busy there. Looking busy there. Cool. So this dashboard here is another tool to assess, the momentum of active jobs inside your system, right? So the job health check dashboard visualizes the jobs with the positive or stalled momentum and the jobs that have required the least amount of effort. Okay, so if you hover over the top of these bubbles, much similar to the active pipeline, right? You can see where your jobs are at, their best case billing scenario, but how long they've been alive for and how much activity you've put in with them as well. So these green bubbles, they're what you want to see, right? The green, bigger circles are the juicy deals that you're working with. And then as you can move along the pipeline here, you can see, Amy, as they get further and further in age, right, they start becoming red, right? And that's when you can have a look at those jobs and see. So we can see this one here. It's got 52 total activities. The last activity was 39 days ago. Your best case billing time is going to be about 4K for this. Is it still live? Is it still going? Let's go in and check it out. Go into the job, potentially make contact with the client, right? It's been 39 days since you've had any activity, and close it off. If it's not going to produce any value for your business, close it off, move on to the next deal, because essentially that's what you want to do. You want to keep rolling forward and keep that consistent billing coming into the business. Same as the other tabs as well, guys. Oh yeah, sorry, you go on, Amy.
I was going to say, questions coming through. When does a bubble go from red to green or from green to red?
Amy, do you want to answer that for us?
Yeah, so it's when it's 28 days of a job not
days.
having any activity on it. So if you're actively working on a role, that means we've got momentum for it. It's moving forward, we're pushing through. If you don't do any activity on a role for 28 days or more, that's what we would class as stalled momentum. So that's when it will go, the bubble will turn from green to red, so you can, you know, take activity on it. What we want to see is ideally a little bubble, because a little bubble means less activities. Up here, so, you know, we've got 13 activities for this role. It's high value. We're still actively working on it. That's great. If a bubble is really, really big, that means, you know, look, 84 activities. That means that's calls, that's emails, that's interviews, that's something that's happened to that job. And we're still only at the scent stage, and we haven't done anything for it for 36 days. So again, it's a really visual understanding of what's going on in each individual's pipeline, and minimal click. It's just a hover over, and you really get to understand that high level overview of each of the assignments that that your consultants are working on. Okay, so 28 days is the magic number. We want to make sure that we're still doing activity on those particular roles when that's going on.
It's a good way to clean out your system as well, right? You really want to make sure that your pipeline is fresh, especially when your consultants are doing their one-to-ones with you. You want to be able to see what is actually active right now and what's going to bill by the end of the month, right? And then,
I know we're all holding on to deals that we think will close, but after 60 days, are they? You know, yes, they are. They will. I promise.
Especially if they've got minimal activity. And you know, and there hasn't been activity for quite some time, just close it off and move on to the next one. And this is just a visual for it. And like the other tabs, you scroll down, Amy, you can see, you know, you can see the job names, the companies, who the job owner is with, when the job was created, the best case billing scenario, and the active candidates and headcount as well. So you can also actually, if you go right across the end, you can see the highest stage on where they're at as well. So really good visuals there.
Yeah, of course. And because, you know, all of this feeds back into that original report at the beginning, your best case is a calculation of all the jobs that are sitting in your system. If you're holding on to jobs that you know aren't going to close, that have got high value for it, the original forecasting is going to be incorrect. So just make sure that this is clean and up to date. You can as well, so a question comes through about sharing this with your customers. You can, this is a report that you can actually export to Excel. So you can filter down if you wanted to by the consultant, by stage, by industry, screenshot the image up here, but if you export it to Excel, you can share that with whoever you need it to. Obviously, only certain people can export data, not everyone, and just, you know, admin users will be able to do that. But again, this is a really great tool to share with your clients to say, like, hey, Mr. Client, we've worked on this many roles over a certain time period. This is the amount of activity we've done for it. We didn't hear back from you for this amount of days. So you get a lot of insight by doing that from inside the system, all from here. Okay. Oh, well, any questions coming through from the dashboards before we move on to the final piece of the webinar? I know that we're moving, you know, 20 minutes has already gone through, and I don't want to take up too much of your time on a Wednesday afternoon. I know we're all very, very busy. Just while we wait for more questions to come through, we've got one final poll, just so we can understand how you thought about today's session. So I think Lynn's going to pop that up on the screen for you now, and you can just let us know. Obviously, it's these sessions are quick, sharp, you know, want to keep you engaged, but not take up too much of your time. So let us know. And then in the meantime of that, we have got loads going on with Vincere at the moment. So firstly, if you haven't already, download the mobile app. Okay, so we did a new version of the app a couple months ago. I think it's great. If you have an Apple Watch, if you have an iPad, you're out and about, you know, maybe not right now, maybe from your bedroom to your kitchen, you can get notifications of what's going on your desk. But when we do eventually have freedom, you know, set your notifications of what you want to see, what you want to get notified on. It's a really great value add tool for you guys to see what's going on your business, you know, 24 hours a day. We're also incredibly social. We're not doing too much at the moment, which means we've got a lot of time to scroll. So we are posting loads of stuff onto our Instagram and onto our LinkedIn. So let us know and follow us, you know, share stuff with us. We're happy to share your stuff as well. So, you know, engage with us and connect with us on those platforms. And don't forget, we're 24/6 help center. So the support team are here all times of the day to help you. We've got the help center, which is help.vincere.io. So every, tip, trick, advice, everything is there for you in that help center. So go through and connect with the support team there, and we're here to help you. And then if there's anything else that you need advice with, if there's any other parts of the system you want us to do with a short, sharp 20-25 minute webinar on, let us know, and we're here to help. We're going to be doing these very, very frequently. So if there's something that you and the guys need more help with or want to understand in a little bit more detail, let us know and we can help you with that. Thanks
so much to everybody for joining as well today. We do appreciate that everyone is super busy right now, but giving up 25 minutes of your day, we really do appreciate it. And looking forward to doing more webinars with you all and just showing you the bits and pieces that Vincere can offer. Yeah, and Stella, your question, yes, these are all recorded, so we'll send them through to you after this, and everyone who's registered and was unable to make it, and they'll get the recording as well. So thank you so much. We won't take up any more of your time. Hopefully you get to enjoy a little bit of the sun if it's sunny where you are, and see you on the next one. We've got a search webinar actually tomorrow. So if you've noticed that we've absolutely new and improved and shined up the Vincere searching, it's at 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock tomorrow. We've got all the details, we'll send them out to you, but yeah, that's one not to miss because there are so many good bits that have been added to the search. It's going to make your life so much easier. It's huge. So if you can join that, and I'm on that one as well, so I'll see you then. See you guys. Cool. Thank you. All right, thanks guys. Have a great rest of your afternoon and we'll speak to you soon.